Today we're stepping slightly away from music for a moment and into the world of sound itself. Have you ever had a moment in a cinema where a creature on the screen you've never seen or heard before somehow sounds completely believable? Mm-hmm. Well, sounds like these don't just spontaneously occur. They're imagined, recorded, sculpted and brought to life by artists we rarely get to meet. Our guest today is one of those artists. As one of the world's leading sound designers, he spent decades creating the sonic identities of some of the most iconic creatures in modern film, with credits and accolades spanning Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, King Kong, many Marvel films, to name a few. But this conversation today isn't just about movies, it's about how our brains respond to sound, why certain noises can trigger emotion or fear, and how technology, including AI, is changing the art of listening. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the 4-4 podcast multi-award winning sound designer, David Farmer.
Wow. Absolutely fantastic.
Welcome, David.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, first of all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for lending us your time today. There is a time difference, so hopefully we're not disrupting your day too much.
What time is it over there?
It's 10 a.m.
Ooh.
So it's perfect timing.
You had your coffee.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I'm had it, and I'm having it.
Nice.
That's good. Well, getting straight into it, there are quite literally hundreds of millions of people who'll recognise, for example, the roar of Smaug or the scream of a ring wraith, but unless they actively look for the information, nobody knows who created these sounds. So tell us, when you're inventing, say, the voice of a creature that never existed, where do you actually begin?
It's just sort of in my imagination, really. I mean, to go back to your point there about people not knowing who we are, that's kind of the name of the game. I never got into this to be famous, thankfully, because I'm not a household name, and that's not why I do it. I just always liked sound, so I was just gravitated towards it in some way and found myself making sounds for films, not just creatures, but magic, whatever needs to be, whatever is sort of specialized in a film is what they kind of hire me to do. It might be magic, might be mechanics, weapons, whatever. Creatures is one of the things that sort of bumped to the front because of Lord of the Rings, but it's a sort of a skill you have to develop when you look at a film, because I think what people don't really realize is when we're looking at a film for the first time, we're looking at it silent. You know what I mean? These shots go by. First of all, they don't look like they do in the theater. We're seeing them very early on, very early visual effects or none. A lot of times there's no visual effects. There's just a card that says stuff happens here. You know what I mean? So we have to sort of imagine what that might be. Usually there's something to work to. But what I usually do is just run the scene down a couple of times and hear in my head what I think it should be. And it's sort of like, I don't know, I don't mean to make this too lofty, but it's sort of like looking at a canvas and thinking what you might want to paint on it.
Yeah.
Your imaginations. I would imagine if somebody watches a movie and turns the sound off, a movie they haven't seen. That's the key here. As a movie you haven't seen, you turn the sound off and you watch it. I imagine you probably have an idea in your head what certain things should sound like, whether it's a weapon or a creature. I would think you have something in your head. I think we all would. So that's just what I do, what I have to do. It's part of the job. And you start to try to carve away whatever you think might be the building blocks of whatever you heard in your head. And hopefully it's good. But the problem is there's no plug-in that records your brain output. So as you're trying to figure out elements that might make up what you heard in your head, you get lost along the way because you're hearing things that aren't part of the original concept, and they start to thwart your brain processes about where you're going, and you sort of forget what you heard in your head because there's nothing to play back at that point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like if you're writing a song and you forget the notes and something else comes out and you forget what the original song was because you don't have anything to play back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it starts.
And as a person who obviously ended up in this sort of profession, we've sort of spoken to photographers, videographers, and we ask how they started out. They started out taking a camera to shows and things like that. for a sound designer, I can't think of how this starts out. So explain sort of how you kind of ended up where you are, and is it as simple as, you just found sounds fascinating and taking your recording equipment to public places and capturing sounds and taking it to that imaginary level, or how did you start out to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, you sort of touched on all of it, really. In the beginning, I was always interested in sounds. It was the kind of thing where my parents, when I was young, we actually had film cameras. It wasn't digital, so whenever they would try to film me, I would hear the camera clicking, and I would stop and look at the camera. So he was trying to catch me doing something, and I would always stop, because I'd just stop and look at the camera because I heard the camera whirring. So, I was always interested in sounds in general, and I think where the fork in the road came was when I saw the making of Empire Strikes Back, because that was my favorite film, as a kid. And seeing them out in the field recording things and making things like the lightsaber and the Imperial Walker and laser blast and all this stuff, it was just sort of like, whoa, But it didn't dawn on me for about 10 years that was a real job people did. It was just this fascinating thing that was cool. It didn't dawn on me that people actually did this for a living, but it was always in the back of my head. And then I was actually working at a finance company and hating my life, and I was looking for any sort of exit. And I was just like, what can I do? I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. And then it was like, that memory from like 10 years before that came flooding back.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow, this is actually a job people do, So I started looking at what do you have to do to get in this position, So I wound up going to Full Sail, which is a audio and video and film media school in Orlando. I went there for a year to learn how to do audio engineering. They didn't have a sound design specific course, but they taught me how to do audio engineering and recording and stuff like that. Before that point, I didn't really have a field recorder, something I would go take around and record sound effects with. But while I was a student there, I bought a little portable DAT recorder with a little microphone. And I went around and recorded everything I could. Started to build my own library. I was pretty hardcore once I decided to switch and do this. I was all in. I was always taking the recorder around and recording stuff, and I still do it to this day. I keep a little recorder. Nowadays, the recording is so much easier to do. You have the little Zoom recorders you can take. That's all self-contained, and you don't have to worry about tape. It's all recorded to a little SD card and stuff. So it's so much easier now to just go collect your own sounds and play with them.
And those sounds, are they the sort of sounds that you'd use actually in the movie soundtracks, the ones that you're recording?
Oh yeah.
So just on a little Zoom,
wow,
and a fully incorporated microphone, and you're using that in a film. Wow. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my A recorder, my best recorder, but it has gotten so good now that I really don't have a problem using it. And this has been the case for years, ever since these little pocket recorders came out. I used to use the little Sony M10 all the time. I loved that thing. And I wouldn't say it's the best sounding recorder in the world, but it's completely usable. And to be able to take something like this out in the field and record, you're better off with a good recording than no recording. You know what I mean? So that's what they make available, is the ability to just take it with you. You're on a hike, you hear the hawk screaming, so you set it up on the rock and you record the hawk. You go in the grocery store that makes this crazy servo door opens, you just record it. You can just. Sometimes I even use my phone, and that's really that's really degrading quite a bit. That's not the best microphones, but hey, this stuff is usable. And the main point I'll make here about that is, never once in my career has somebody heard a sound and gone, did you record that on a Zoom?
Yeah.
Very true.
They don't say that. It's either good or it's bad. I'm not saying that it's going to be great just because it's recorded on a Zoom, but nobody has ever questioned the source. It's just like, do they like the sound or not? And that's all that matters.
Well, that's interesting. That is interesting, because you've probably, I don't know, have you got any figure of how many sounds you've recorded over the years? It must be more sounds than most people will even hear in their life.
Hundreds of thousands. Let me just look at my database here. I've got if I just do a find all, I've got 725,000 records in here.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's not everything. That's just what's been scanned into that database.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some of those are like long files of entire things, you
Yeah.
know, of longer takes of stuff.
That's yeah.
So a lot.
Yeah.
And there's also commercial stuff available now that's quite good.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started in my career, there was only a handful of commercial libraries, and everybody had them, so they were really recognizable. So you kept hearing them in movies all the time, the same things. But now everybody and their brother can go record stuff and put it on the internet and make it for sale. So there's just a zillion things out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's way more acceptable nowadays to use commercial sounds in big projects because it's so diverse and there's so much of it.
Yeah. And one of those recurring sounds is that scream, isn't it? Is it the Wilhelm scream?
scream.
Wilhelm, yeah.
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 You hear that in most.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, all Star Wars films. They've even put it in like as an Easter egg in the newer ones, I think.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
In terms of like field recording, do you have any interesting stories? Any near misses with animals or anything like that? Because I know you've recorded lions, tigers, all sorts.
Yeah. I think probably the time I was in the most danger was actually when I was recording. This was for Rings, and I was recording some horse roars, and they were taking semen samples from a stud horse.
Wow.
So they had a horse that was in heat in the barn with this horse, and then this horse was getting amped up, shall we say,
Yep.
and getting quite aggressive because this is a primal thing for them. And it wasn't like it was directed at me, but
Yeah.
if I was in the way or off to the side where it would happen to be moving, then it could have crushed me. And it was a big horse too. So that was probably one of the times I was in the most danger. When I was recording lions and tigers and stuff, I was usually there was a fence between me and them.
Yeah.
There was a bear that probably wasn't the safest place for me to be because it was just a chain link fence between me and the bear, and they can rip. You know, you go to Yosemite and you see where they've ripped doors off of cars, and I'm just looking at this fence going, that's not gonna. If he wants to come through that, that's not gonna stop him. You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was pretty bad. And then there was one time I was young and dumb, and there was an underground tram. It was at the Pittsburgh airport. And I talked the security guards into letting me go out and stand on the ledge in this tunnel when it would go by. And I had no idea how much air it pushes by it. So it almost blew me off the ledge, and it would have squashed me. So that was just me being stupid and not and putting myself in a bad position by not knowing the hazards.
Yeah. Well,
So.
that's fair. I mean, that's the dangers of the job, I suppose, isn't it?
You found respect for the sound
Yeah,
designers.
this is
right?
it. Putting your body on the line for sure.
Someone's got to capture that sound.
Yeah. What about the weirdest thing that you've recorded that's ended up in a blockbuster?
Oh, weirdest thing. Oh boy.
I know you've probably got a question about
story.
weird thing.
I do, yeah. I'll follow
Animals
up.
getting amped up.
I don't really have a good answer for a weird thing, or at least not on the tip of my tongue.
No. I'll have a think.
That's
If-
all right.
if something comes to you, let us know.
Okay.
I mean, going back to the words I never thought I'd say on this podcast, but going back to the horse being amped up and ready to go, because you always sort of hear these things of, the T-Rex from Jurassic Park was tortoises having sex and things like that. I mean, realistically, now we've sort of touched upon that. What kind of percentage would you say are sounds of animals either being amped up or doing the deed that just end up in movies? It seems like it's quite high.
I would say it's probably a fair amount because that's when they're doing the more interesting, different vocals than they normally do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this particular sound is used a lot in Rings. It's used a lot for the ringwraith horses and also for the Balrog when the Balrog's in pain, and also for a lot of the Mumakil roars. A lot of the Mumakil roars are real elephants, but then there's other times where they are the horses this horse pitched down. It's just the thing about animals is there's almost nothing that does an elongated roar, like a long. Yeah. It's always a short bark or something, or a growl. When we're talking about a roar, we're talking about a bellow, something that has a vocal tone to it. Not just a growl, like your dog playing with a toy. It's something's got to be going, you know what I mean? It's got to have that vocal projection to it. Almost nothing does that for an extended period, for a long thing. So for something like the T-Rex or any monster you see roaring, a lot of times it winds up being a pig, because pigs will just growl. I mean, I'm not talking about squeals, like they're in pain or anything. I'm just talking about you go to a hog farm, and when you're about to feed them, they're just talky, and they just have this long. They're one of the more interesting vocal animals that have a long thing to them. So that's why it winds up being a pig a lot of the times, because they're one of the only things that does it for an extended period.
Yeah,
fascinating. I mean, do you? So you've obviously collated a load of files now of various sounds. Do you find yourself being able to just pull from them when you get a new job come in, or do you set out with the intention of, I need to go and find a horse that's ready to be amped up? Or how do you even get to the point where you need to go out in the field to capture more, or have you now stabilized?
Yeah, these days it's more pull from what I have, because I have so much, but because I'm trying to keep things fresh for myself as much as anybody else. I do try to go out and record things when I can, but it's fewer and far between. Like, the budgets for things are much tighter now, so we don't really have time to go out and do these things. And like on the Rings days, I wound up paying out of my pocket for all of these animal recordings, at least the ones I did.
Wow.
The crew did their own thing too, but whenever I would go and record something, I paid out of my pocket, because I wanted to have the rights to use these beyond the Rings films. And I knew that this was all going to go into my library, and I would own them. I mean, whatever I make with them for Rings belongs to them.
Yeah.
But the source recordings I make, I get to use forever. So that's why I paid out of my pocket way back then. I probably lost money on those movies, but I've been able to use those things forever, so that's been good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, well.
And these days, a new development in the past, I don't know, it's not that new now, but in the last 10 years is using ultrasonic mics like the Sanken CO100K.
Right.
So when I first started recording with extended range mics, it was a Sheps, and it would only go up to 40K, but it was still higher than anything else I had. But I thought I was going to get all this use out of it, slowing things down. It really didn't help that much, so I was really skeptical when the Sanken came around, but since it records all the way up to 100K,
wow,
I was blown away. All I did, the first time I recorded, I just jingled my keys in front of it, something with a lot of high end in it. And then I slowed it down to like 20% speed, and it still has so much high end frequencies in it. Your brain isn't tricked into thinking it's muffled and doesn't sound pitched down, so to speak, like other things did. So when that happened, it was like a light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my God, I have to record everything I've ever recorded again. You know what I mean? So what this does is frees us up to use things like our own voice a lot, more than we used to, because I can go scream into a microphone or growl into it, and I can slow it way down. It doesn't sound like me anymore or a human. Other things, bowing on a cardboard box, you get crazy squeals and things. Those things slowed way down. This is something relatively new for us, but we're still exploring it. It's a great thing for us.
How much does a mic that goes up to 100K cost you?
That one, well, there's a lot of them that claim to do it, but I still think the Sanken is the king, and I think it's about $2,500. I think US. I could be wrong with that. But it's way up there. Yeah. I only have one. I didn't buy them for stereo.
No stereo capturing or anything.
Yeah. I have some other ones that claim to do it. They go fairly high and they're relatively inexpensive. They don't go as high as the Sanken, but they're nice complements to record alongside of it. Yeah.
I mean, on the topic of gear, obviously you started off with just the small handheld microphones. Are you Are you a big gear guy? Do you have a lot of gear? Do you have expensive gear, or are you finding yourself getting away with some of the cheaper normal stuff? You know, do you have something like a binaural microphone or anything crazy like that, or are you doing fine?
I don't really record with a binaural mic. I do have what do you call it, an ambisonics mic that I never use. I mean, the bottom line is, for a film, we usually wind up working in mono or stereo with the source files. We don't usually record in surround sound and use that as an ambience in the film. It actually sounds, believe it or not, it actually sounds a little bit wider if you use, say, 2 or 3 stereo pairs and move them around the room separately, as opposed to one naturally occurring surround environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've found over the years, is that works a little bit better. But back to your question, yeah, I've got good gear. I mean, I've been upgrading my recorders for years. Right now, I've settled on a Zoom F6, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I like the 32-bit recording aspect because you can't screw it up. You know, you can't record too low or too hot. You come in, you bring it all back in the studio, and you can normalize it. You know, bring it down if you need to. My microphones I've been using. My main microphone for stereo is a Sheps MS rig I've been using ever since 2005. I mean, I just think it sounds gorgeous. I love the sound of it. And then the Sanken for ultrasonic stuff now. But the pocket recorders have gotten very good. I'm not going to say you A/B them with the Sheps and the F6 that you're not going to hear a difference. But again, like I said, it's nobody ever complains. Nobody ever says, "What was this recorded with?" Because I'm making the choices as I'm going through it. I'm listening to sounds and going, "Is this a good sound? Yes, use it." It doesn't matter to me what it was recorded on. If it's not a good sound, I'm not going to use it. You know, and so the filter comes with me auditioning through my library and going that way. I am perfectly happy. I mean, here's another example of the pocket recorders. On The Hobbits, I went with John Fasal, who's like one of the premier sound effect recordist guys in LA, and the two of us went to an animal facility to record lions, bears, tigers, leopards, all this stuff. We both took all of our best gear, and we both took a Sony M10. Mm-hmm. And he liked it because it had this auto level control on it where he could just set it down and not have to worry about it. And I used it because I liked the Omni sound of it, and I just liked the sound of it, and I liked it as a backup in case something went wrong with my main rig, because that has happened before too.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got all the files into the library in New Zealand, I told the assistants to like move the field off where I can't see it of what the recorder is. So I'm just going through each one and picking it. And I would say 4 out of 5 times I was actually picking the M10 recorded sound over the best gear stuff. And it wasn't because it was the most pristine. That wasn't the goal. It had a roundness to it and a fullness to it that just seemed like it was already almost there.
Yeah.
Without me having to do as much to it. So I was choosing these files, again, not because they were the most pristine recordings, but because they were doing a job I wanted them to do. So that when I did that test, and I found I was choosing those sounds, that gave me a lot more freedom and confidence to use these budget pocket recorders more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're relying on your ears at the end of the day. It's your ears that are, as you say, filtering. We see it a lot in music. You know, someone will accidentally kick a mic over, and all of a sudden they've got the best amp sound ever. I think it's all, you know, it's
accidental.
In a way.
It's how not. It wasn't an accident, I don't think, but it's how distorted guitar sounds came about. They sliced the speaker, didn't they? And
It's again, using your ears. Your ears are they insured? Have you got your ears insured?
No. No.
Well, I mean, we are
good idea though.
Yeah.
Good shout.
I might think about that.
Well, taking it slightly to a musical direction, because we are a music podcast. Obviously, I'm a songwriter. Andy's a songwriter. You're an avid music listener. You'd probably fancy yourself to write a song if you tried.
I don't think I've been been through enough pain to write a song.
Yeah.
But there you go, too privileged.
Yeah, too privileged. Yeah, but I see a lot of songwriters talking about how they're telling their stories, and they're using notes to tell their stories. Would you see yourself as a songwriter but with sounds? So are you thinking about, when you're creating, say, a dragon or whatever it is, are you thinking about rhythm, pitch, dynamics, all of these things, timbre, the sort of same way that a songwriter would?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think that is, I think rhythm and timing is something super important for a sound editor. I think this is one of the things that I think slips past the general public, and it's okay. I mean, that's not something people should be thinking about. But when I'm working with a crew of people, or we have an editor on board, and what makes people stand out, to me anyway, is how they go about cutting a scene or a single sound. A rhythm of building a sequence or a cadence of how something might sound complicated more than what you see on screen. That's what I think at a basic level, people would starting this job might be like, okay, I see a body fall, cut a body fall. Something goes thunk, you put it. Thunk. That's pretty boring. You make something complicated, something, you know, and it's got a rhythm and a cadence to it. And like I said, when I first started out, I was super gung-ho, super intense about this stuff. I used to study films that I liked. There was one scene in Terminator 2, which nobody would ever pay attention to, but I glommed onto this scene, and I couldn't figure out what it was I liked about this scene until I played it over and over and over and over again. And it was a rhythm within the shot. And it was basically like the shot of the truck, the little pickup truck hitting against the guardrail while the tractor trailer is slamming at it from the side. The tractor trailer breaks the window, the glass, the safety glass falls in. Then there's a skid of the truck moving to the side, and then there's a scream. And it was like, I was watching this, and then there was also like this pluck on the bumper where it kind of went almost like a ruler twang. And I was just like, this is genius. Whoever made this is a musician. You know what I mean? It also wasn't in sync with the picture, which was what blew me away. It was like they built a sequence and they prioritized a rhythm over being in perfect sync. And it goes right by, nobody notices. I do the same thing myself. I just released something on my Instagram the other day about this rider falling off of the Mumakil's ear, and there's a sequence of things there that aren't attached to anything on screen.
Yeah.
But you do have to resolve it with something that's probably in sync. But the rest of it doesn't have to be. And if it goes by fast enough and it's natural enough, nobody notices. You know, but it makes it interesting. So yes, rhythm to me is a big thing. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it does. When you hear it like that, it makes a lot of sense. But like you say, never really occurred to me before.
I guess you're not able to have the finished film. You're not able to go, you know, shot by shot by shot, making it perfectly timed anyway, right? So you kind of have to just create a sound, give it your best, and it's not going to be in sync. Like, it's just
well, we do have the whole film.
You do get.
We do have the whole film. Yeah,
okay.
We get the whole thing, but it changes. The picture changes all the way up to the very end. So the picture editor is usually they're second guessing things, trying new things. They're trying to tighten it up, and this affects us a lot. Because we will work to a version of the picture, and sound crosses cuts, right? It's not just things happening within this shot. Things go across cuts to the next shot. So we will build a rhythm, back to this same conversation, we'll build a rhythm based on the picture cut with what's in the shot. But if they change the shots, rearrange them or tighten them, it totally mucks with the rhythm of what we've done. And I've had this happen a number of times where something was playing really well and they gave us a new picture cut and it completely broke what we've done. I mean, that's just the nature of the business. We do the best we can with what we're given, and then they change it, and we have to adapt. So sometimes it's not as good as it used to be, for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And is that always the priority then? Does the picture get the priority over the sound, or are there instances where is it yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That was an angry yes.
Can't even flex then. So
that is a yes. Hey, this I signed up for this, right? This is the gig, So I'm not angry about it. This is I'm just letting you guys and the audience know this is what we have to do. And there's a pecking order too. I mean, the picture is obviously first. Then, as far as sounds go, the dialogue is the most important thing.
Yeah.
If I put a sound effect that stomps on a dialogue line, guess which one's going to get dumped?
Gotcha.
Me. Gone. So we have to work our way around the dialogue. We have to try to not put things that are going to conflict with it, because we know that's going to go away. That we're going to have to mute it. Music's usually next, and then sound effects are last.
Right.
And that's generally the pecking order.
I mean, one day there's going to be someone who's going to say, no, we're going to change the picture, and then the director's going to come in and say, no, that's a David Farmer sound. We cannot change this.
It's
Right?
not being cut.
Do you not know who he is?
Still waiting for that day.
It will be. It will happen.
It will happen.
You never know. It might come off the back of this podcast. You never know.
Right.
Oh dear. Is that a Kemper stage in the background?
It is.
Oh, nice. Sorry,
Yes, it is.
That was a hard. I just noticed it. Yeah. And is that a neural underneath?
No, I don't have a QC. I've got a Ampero 2 stomp there.
Ah, fair. That looks a bit like a neural.
So you're a guitarist?
I wouldn't call it that. I have guitars and guitar gear, but I'm not a guitarist.
I've seen you on Instagram. I've seen some of your embellishments of songs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoy those.
Did that come before the love of sound, with or after?
No. Interestingly enough, I would say my interest in sound effects came out of the fact that I recognized I was never going to be a good guitarist because I wanted to. I think my guitar playing skills probably plateaued when I was about 17.
Right.
And I'm probably play about the same as I did back then, because I actually hate practicing. Whenever I try to do a practice routine, I'll do it for about a week or two, and then I get bored, and I'm just going to go back to riffing. That's all I do. That's what I really enjoy doing. So at some point, when I was a teenager, I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to be a guitar player. And at some point I realized, I also wanted to be Eddie Van Halen or Joe Satriani. And who doesn't?
Naturally.
But it was like, I realized at some point, maturity kicked in, and I was like, this is never going to happen. You're never going to be an innovator or even be able to play what they play, much less be the innovator that they are. So I was like, you need to do something else. Okay. So when sound effects came around, the idea of sound effects, it dawned on me. I was like, well, you know what? You're not a performer. You're not going to be able to do stuff like this live. But if you're in a studio where you can muck around with stuff, noodle around with it, that's where you'd be good at it. And that's exactly what I do, is like just go over stuff over and over and over again until you get it right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm 33 and I'm waiting for that enlightenment that it's not going to happen, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Years left.
35, you've got 2 years on me. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sticking with music, what's on your record player at the moment? If we were to have a little look, what are you listening to?
Oh, well, it's very diverse. I mean, and I realize that's a boring answer, but I like everything from... Interesting, because I saw your shirt, Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters. I've been working on doing a cover of DOA.
Nice.
And I love Foo Fighters. I like Van Halen. I like Bryan Adams. I like Dua Lipa, Ariana Grande. It's classical. It's all across the board. But I would say what I was listening to in the car this morning when I went and got my coffee was Foo Fighters.
Nice.
Foo Fighters.
And what else was it? Kelly Clarkson. There was a Kelly Clarkson song.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nice.
Fair play, yeah.
I found
That was this morning.
I found the same thing myself. I used to listen to a very sort of select few bands growing up, and they were like my thing. And then I joined a function band, so now I'm like my Spotify. It's not Spotify, it's Apple Music, but it's just it's just like bastardized with all these random
all these
artists that come in. I'm like, yeah, fine, I'll listen to it.
It's good.
Yeah, it has kind of expanded it. Yeah.
I have one playlist that's just become a catch-all. Anytime I find something on Instagram, I'll Shazam it, or anything I'm like, I like this, it just goes into that playlist. So it's a nice like road trip, just shuffle play, and you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I used to be sort of fixated on things that were the best. I used to label things the best. This is the best drummer. This is the best guitar player. This is the best album. And I kind of grew out of that, where I don't like comparing one thing to the other. I like just letting things be good and just appreciate them, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I get asked a lot by people that aren't necessarily musicians, or they'll like music. They're not massive musos, but they'll say, oh, who's the best guitarist at the moment? Because I'm a guitarist. I'm like, I can't give you an answer. They're all, what do you mean? Who's the best at chops? Who's the best at riffs? What do you want to know? Like, there isn't one answer. Right. I completely get that.
Could tell you who's the worst.
Oh yeah, there is definitely.
There's loads of them.
I resemble that remark.
Oh dear. So we've another little sidetrack, I suppose, into Andy's territory here.
Oh, yes. AI.
AI, yeah.
AI.
It comes up a lot on the podcast,
naturally.
Yeah, we've explored it several times on the podcast as almost a detrimental thing, and it's not necessarily a positive thing, especially for the music industry. And we chop and change, and tools like Suno and stuff come out, and there's some good to them, there's some bad to them. Where is it within the sound design space at the moment with AI? Is it difficult to worry about it yet, or is it starting to make some jumps?
Fortunately for us, at this moment in time, it hasn't impacted us much yet. As far as like a creation tool, we're not allowed to use it.
Wow.
Anybody we're working for says, you can't. I don't even know the tools that are out there for creation of sound, of stuff with AI for what I do. There may be stuff out there, I don't know. But we're not allowed to use it because, I think it's legal, because they can't, as far as I understand it, you can't copyright a sound that's been generated with AI.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So film sounds, they want to make sure they can copyright the content. So it's just sort of, at this point in time, it's just sort of don't use it.
Yeah.
Where it's sort of come in handy for us to a degree is things like with restoration tools, things that can clean up dialogue, get rid of background noise, stuff like that. And I'm still using pretty, I would call basic tools, Ozone, for mastering stuff, which I think it has some AI in it. I don't really know. I mean, sometimes things they call themselves AI when it's just sort of machine learning, and there's a gray area there, which But to answer your question, really, it really hasn't affected us yet. But I keep seeing people post things like, it's coming for us, it's coming for us, it's coming for us.
No.
I don't think directors are going to adopt it, even if it becomes available. I don't think it's going to happen to us just yet, because it's really hard to control. I mean, you have to do, what are you going to say? Like, cut this 5-minute sequence, and then it cuts it, and it's like, well, no, this roar needs to be different, or make it later right here. How do you prompt that? I mean, how do you prompt making a filmed track? You know what I mean? It's easier for them to tell us what to do than it is to try to prompt a AI platform. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but at the moment, there's a lot more personal interaction that people enjoy, and it's also legally not something that's acceptable yet.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, speaking of the copyright thing, a quick question on the Star Wars short that you were just involved with, because there are sort of lightsaber sounds, laser sounds. Are those things you've created for that film?
Yeah.
And try to match kind of closely what the originals were like? Because you didn't work on the original, obviously not the the trilogy, the first. But yeah, so you've never worked on Star Wars.
Correct.
So
I've only done one thing for a series, and it just got mixed last week. I can't talk about what it is.
Oh, nice.
But I've only done one thing for anything officially Star Wars
Oh, that's
Awesome.
in my whole time here.
Yeah. So you had
So
to just
far.
yes. Oh yeah. That may change. So yeah, you had to create those sounds from scratch.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
were you worrying about any sort of repercussions, copyright, anything like that?
I wasn't really. I mean, because I work at Skywalker. I mean, I'm a contractor. I'm not nobody's really an employee out there. But I have a good relationship with them, and from the very beginning, when Phoebe and I were working on this short film, I told her, I was like, okay, I work out here, but I can't use any real Star Wars sounds. I can't use them, and I'm not going to take anything off the internet that has been ripped from a game.
Right.
I'm not going to do that either. I have a reputation to uphold.
For sure. Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're cool with that, if you're cool with me recreating these things, let's do it. And she was also very aware of takedowns, like Disney or Lucasfilm. Not that they were going to come after her, but she wanted to make sure it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so she was very aware of being careful in every single aspect, like whether it's the music or anything. So yeah, the whole goal for me as a designer was to have people question, did I use the real thing or not? You know,
there you go.
And that's, I don't think if you're playing it side by side, you can probably tell the difference. But I think there's plenty of cases, like even with the lightsaber, I think it's so close that over the years of Star Wars, how it's evolved, I think if I was actually working on a real Star Wars project, everything I submitted for this short film, I would be willing to use in a real thing. That was my goal.
That's awesome.
And nobody that I work with at Skywalker would. I don't think anybody would come after me or question me if I said I made it myself. They'd be like, "Oh, cool." I don't think they're going to question that I was able to do it or not.
Yeah. I seem to remember. This might be wrong, but on the original Star Wars, the doors opening and shutting was a piece of card in an envelope. You can have that one for free if you want.
Yeah, use that yourself.
They were sliding
So
a piece
why
of
did I think of that?
yeah, a piece of card in and out an envelope, which kind of takes me to my next point. Have you ever done something that straightforward? I'm not going to say simple, but that straightforward. You know, a piece of card in an envelope as the doors opening and closing.
I'm sure, yes. I mean, the simpler the better, really. I mean, if you can get away with using something real that just sells it, then all the better. You know, if you try to make it too complicated, it starts to sound fake. You know, a lot of times we're layering things just because we have to. Because when I'm looking at it back, I'm like, well, it's just not done yet. It doesn't feel complete enough. But if I can get away with something that's just one sound that does it, absolutely, I'll use it.
Yeah.
I can't think of an instance like that off the top of my head, but yeah, absolutely, I'm totally willing to do that.
Do you ever find yourself getting into, because as musicians we certainly do, the level of perfection where you're just adding, removing, adding, and you never get done? How do you navigate that? How do you get out of that?
Usually somebody says, "Can we have it? Turn it in. You're done."
Time's up.
You know, I mean, usually you just run out of time. You know, and you have to move on. But yeah, this happens a lot where we'll look at like one event and we'll have so many pieces trying to make it up that it just becomes a mush. And then, you know, what happens is you listen to it and you're like, it's not done. You keep adding a little sweetener to it. Okay, it's still not done. Add another sweetener to it. And then before you know it, it's filled with noise and mush.
Yeah.
And what you need to do at that point is go back and start turning things off and go, do I miss this? And if you don't miss it, just delete it. Just get it off the tracks. You know what I mean? Because it happens a lot where we just build up to mush.
Yeah. We have it with tracks, don't we? We'll just add another track there, and let's double take that.
Yeah, it definitely ends in mush.
Yeah. That's good though. Just starting to turn things off. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, if you don't miss it, if you don't miss it, you don't need it.
Yeah,
Great advice.
Yeah, that's a good advice. Yeah.
Write that one down.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of advice, would you have any advice for sort of aspiring sound designers? Is there a crash course on developing your ears to know what sounds good, or is it just experience over time?
I think what people have these days that's great is you have something like Reaper, which you can get for $60, and learn tricks at home. When I first started, I had to work in the studio at night. When the studio wasn't working, I had to go practice. I couldn't afford. I mean, a 3/4 inch video machine was $20,000. You know what I mean, and everything else. So for right now, you've already got the computer. You can buy a little Zoom recorder for $100. You can go out and record stuff for $200 on top of the computer you have already. You can get cracking. Free plugins. You know what I mean. I'm a little jealous of what people have available to them now to get started.
Yeah.
And I would say start practicing reverse engineering things you like. You know what I mean? You find a movie you like, put it in Reaper, start turning the sound off, recreating it yourself, go back and find a certain sound effect you like. This is the trick I used way back when, would just reverse engineer, say, a single explosion or a creature or something like that. Just take one thing and try to recreate it to the point where if you turned off the original, yours can take the place of it. Because you'll learn tricks that you can use forever. On not just recreating that thing, but for layering and creating something new of your own. Reverse engineer, learn the tricks. It's like learning licks off a record.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then what about, so once they've crafted, they've built their sounds, their catalogue, whatever, how do you then take the step to actually becoming a sound designer on a production of some sort? Where would you go from there?
That's a question I get asked a lot, and I wish I had a good answer for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little out of touch with the ways in, how to get your foot in the door. But, people these days have to be savvy with social media and how to reach out. I mean, you can live in another part of the world and reach somebody in LA, these days. It's a lot easier over the internet. It becomes a little trickier being able to work remotely as a new person that people don't know, because security for projects is a big deal, especially with like games and films. They don't want their picture leaking out, so they have to have good control over all of these things. So those are probably the trickiest things to navigate from trying to work remotely if somebody's trying to work with somebody in a different part of the world. Is you still kind of have to move to the work a lot of times. But as far as getting your foot in the door, social media, connections, reach out, be a good person, be nice, take advice. I've had so many people over the years reach out to me with asking me to review their stuff. And then when I give them a review, rather than taking the notes, they just get defensive.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, do you want to get better at this or not? You know what I mean? It's I'm trying to help, but you got to listen. Don't take it personally. I'm trying to help you get better at the craft. So, but the people that have taken my advice or at least tried to address the notes I would give them, they've done very well. I'm not giving myself credit for this. I'm talking about them having the right attitude to be willing to move past themselves and not take it personally.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a quick fire one for you. It was your fiance, actually. She came up with this idea.
Why are you speaking to her for?
What's going on?
Hey, what's this?
You were there.
You go on.
What is the difference between a sound designer and a Foley artist?
Okay, Foley is somebody that performs stuff to picture live.
Right,
So
and it's recorded live along to it.
Sorry?
And it gets recorded along with... Okay.
Yeah, it gets recorded, so they're usually watching the screen. And I don't want to dumb it down to make it sound like footsteps and stuff like that, but that's what they do, and they do so much better than we can because they're actually performing a live... It's a performance. Because they can react to what they're seeing on screen, feel the soul of the character, move with them. If I'm trying to cut, say, footsteps from a library, the odds of that footstep being exactly what that person's doing on screen is next to none. So
Right.
I'm just sort of covering it, clop, 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 clop.
Yeah.
They're performing it to the soul of what they see on screen. Now they get way more creative with sound effects, complicated things, props and things. It goes way more in depth. But the general gist of it is they're performing it to picture and recording it live.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing is going out into the field, recording stuff wild, creating stuff from it, and then cutting it to picture.
Right.
Not live.
Not
Not performing it live.
Yeah.
So how do you decide? Okay, that section needs Foley. This section needs Farmer. Who makes that decision?
Pretty much everything needs Foley.
Right.
But there's times where we sort of say, okay, we can do a bigger job of this. We can make this bigger, more stylized. If it's magic or creature roars, obviously something that's gigantic, then that's going to be us. And we try not. The main thing is we try not to double cover, so that Foley's not wasting their time or I'm not wasting my time doing their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a Foley supervisor that will go through the whole movie and spot it out, like footsteps for this character, blah 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 for this character, blah 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 for this character, and there are times where we do double up. Sometimes it's just to see if they could do a better job or a more complete job of making it feel natural over us.
Sure.
So that's kind of how it is.
I imagine, I might be wrong here, but that sounds a bit more cost effective as well. Because having someone do Foley, watching a 10-minute clip, sort of, running around, maybe hair brushing teeth, sounds a bit more cost effective than you sitting there going through your library, literally trying to stitch everything together.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Still a Foley editor that will come through afterwards and tighten it all up because they can't perform it in perfect sync, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the footsteps that they try to make sir they get the right number of footsteps and the performance right, and then somebody comes and slides all those into sync. It's really fun to watch a playback of the film with, say, the Foley alone.
I've seen a few videos. I've seen a few videos online of watching them actually working.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite impressive.
Yeah.
It's a good gig.
Have you ever done it?
I tried it once. Yeah. Like at Disney World, they put you in a room and try and do it, and I failed miserably. I mean, fair enough. I was only like 14 at the time, but yeah, it was hard. You couldn't keep up, and I couldn't grab everything quick enough.
Yeah.
It's a skill for sure.
Oh
yeah.
Looks like a lot of fun to do.
It looks fun. It looks intense as well.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're hungover, you don't want to be in there doing it.
No.
I don't want to be doing much if I'm hungover.
Yeah.
Let alone that.
That's as true.
I did have a question about psychology. It might be a bit long-winded for time. I don't know. It could actually just be a yes or no. So we've talked on this podcast about the science of evolution and sound and how potentially certain sounds can trigger certain responses in humans. Frisson, for example, and also fear. Do you actively think about psychology and emotion when you're creating sounds? Are you trying to develop sounds to basically scare people?
I don't think I think of it in a reverse engineering way like that. I sort of react to what I'm doing, and I go, is this scary? Or is this not? I mean, I'm usually not thinking about it in. I'm usually not overthinking it. I guess I should say. Yeah. I'm just sort of like reacting. What would make this scary? And if it's a scream or a piercing screech of a metal or something like that, those are kind of low-hanging fruit. Those things usually work. It's usually when somebody says, I want this to do this, but I don't want to use the normal stylized things for it. That's when you have to sort of take a step back and wonder what would work in lieu of the typical things.
Yeah.
But I don't spend a lot of time analyzing it in that way now.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I have seen on your Instagram, there was the scene with Pippin and Gandalf, and you talked about how the troll banging the door the sounds were sort of overlapping too much with what was going on in the scene, and it was your idea to sort of bring that back to nothing. Is that because I can relate that to that in sort of writing songs, because I'll leave silence and pauses and stuff in my songs for dramatic effect to then kick in with the next section or whatever. Is that something that's important for you when you're designing sound? You know, is it silence can be quite powerful?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. What usually happens for us is everybody brings everything to the table. You know, and then a lot of these things happen in the mix, like trying to figure out what serves best here. I don't want to show up at a scene when I think, well, maybe we shouldn't have sound effects here, so I'm not going to put any here. And then the director go, well, where's all this stuff? You know, where's the sound effects? You know, that's not what I want here. So we bring it all to the table, and then we sort of decide what's going to work. It's usually a work in progress. We're working against guide tracks and temp music and things like that, so we can sort of work it out ahead of time, get an idea where things are going. But in general, we bring it all to the table, and then in that instance you're talking about there with the troll, we had everything there, you know, and we weren't all on the same page, you know, about how to address it. And I was just sort of, you kind of have to stay open to what's happening, to what you're hearing, you know, and I was just we were playing the scene down, and I just kept going, this isn't working for me, and I tried to figure out what's messing it up, what's keeping it from being pure, and the troll hammer on the door was what was yanking me out of it every time. So that's when I was just kept saying, let's just keep bringing it down, and they were like, no, let's keep playing it, let's just keep it in there a little low. And I was like, all right, let's try it. And I was just like, no, it's still mucking it up, man. I'm still not there with Pippin and Gandalf in that moment. Let's get rid of it. And once we got rid of it, then we were there. And that's, you know, but you have to sort of be open and be willing to react, and be willing to be wrong too. You know, I think you got to be willing to try things. But the main thing is keep an open mind and continually react to what's happening, to what you're hearing. Yeah.
Well, you weren't wrong in that case, because that scene is just ridiculous. So good.
Thank you.
So good. Maybe one last question.
Go on then.
Yeah. What we usually do with guests, what we have done, say if we had a guitarist on, we'd say build a Frankenstein's monster of your favourite guitarists. So who's got the left hand finger work of X, the picking hand of Y. You know, that's the vein we go down. But I tried to sort of fit this to you. So I want you to build an ultimate movie creature using characteristics from creatures you've designed. So we need like the roar of X monster, the footsteps of another, the breathing of another monster, and then the death cry of whatever monster you build. So this is literally a Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
And then Skippy's going to draw it afterwards.
Now send it to me.
Yeah. That might take a while. I don't know if you got time for that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
So the roar. Start with the roar.
Roar. Cave troll roar. Death sound is the fell beast.
Yeah.
After Eowyn cuts its head off.
Yeah.
Footstep. Smaug.
Oh
yeah.
And that's not something that got featured a lot, but his footsteps were very heavy and a lot of claw. There was a smack and also like a claw down for his footsteps. So, it would have to be Smaug's footstep. What was the last one?
The breath, the breathing.
Breath. Smaug.
Smaug again. Yeah. Yeah, he has a good breath.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well done. You've done well there. I didn't know how that would land, that one, but yeah, that was good.
Yeah. We'll send you the drawing later.
Yes, please.
I'll DM you on Instagram.
Might have to be AI.
Probably. Yeah. Awesome.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dave. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, really, thank you.
Glad we got to do it finally.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with me and being patient.
No.
And
absolutely.
so the videos that we've kind of been talking about throughout the interview, where can people find you on Instagram? What's your handle? And is there any YouTube, anything you want to push?
Just probably my Instagram is where I've been doing more things lately. I like the short form there. So it's just Dave__farmer.
Two underscores.
Brilliant.
Lovely.
Magic.
Brilliant.
Somebody else had just the one underscore, so I had to do it too.
Fair enough.
Do they not know who you are?
Awesome.